Hello and welcome to Talk Sports on Global Television, your sports roundup of trending stories from across Nigeria and the globe. I am Anita Patrick, and here's what's making the headlines. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break while I introduce my guests who will talk with me on the issues happening in the world of sports. Welcome back. It's good to have you here on Talk Sports on Global Television. Like I told you earlier before the break, we'll be looking at major stories that made the headline in the sports stories. Well, let's tell you that ahead of the National Youth Games, Lagos State is making a bid to host this time around the 2026 National Youth Games. Well, Lagos State has officially declared its intention to host the 2026 National Youth Games. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu submitted the state's bid to the Ministry of Sports Development, now called the National Sports Commission, earlier this week, promising to deliver a world-class event that will promote youth participation and grassroots sports development. Well, the commercial capital is aiming to outpace strong contenders like Delta and Ogun State, banking on its robust infrastructure and sports history. Well, we'll talk more on that, but let's give you other stories that is also making the round. Don't forget that Abeokuta is gearing up for the African Under-18 and Under-20 Championship. Well, Abeokuta just hosted the National Sports Festival, and in that same spirit of youth games, the youth sports excitement is building up in Ogun State as Abeokuta prepares to host the third African Under-18, Under-20 Athletics Championship. Over 900 athletes and officials from 43 African countries are expected for the week-long tournament kicking off July 16th. Local organizers say all facilities are 95% ready, and the team, Nigeria, has been in close camp training at the Abuja High Performance Center, with medal hopes riding high in spirit. Long jump and javelin events will also be part of that championship. Well, moving on, Nigeria's preparation for Accra 2027 African Games. With the countdown to Accra 2027 African Games underway, Nigerian Sports Ministry has inaugurated a technical committee to begin early preparation. The focus: talent discovery, athletes' welfare, and a clean sweep across athletics, weightlifting, wrestling, and parasports. At the last edition in Rabat, Nigeria finished second overall behind Egypt, with standout performances from Blessing Oborodudu in wrestling and women's 4x100 meters team. The commission says the plan this time is not just to compete, but to dominate in this particular event. Well, let's also tell you that desperation upcoming for Chan 2025 Super Eagles camp swells to 26 as 5 more players joins. Well, 5 additional players have joined the home base Super Eagles camp in Ikene as preparation continue for the 2025 African Nations Championship, Chan, which will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. The team's media officer, Promise Efoge, confirmed the new arrivals on Tuesday, where he mentioned the players. The players include Musa Zayad, who is from El Kanemi Warriors, Aminu Adam from Kanu Pillars, Anas Yusuf, Nasser United, Godwin Obaje, Rivers United, and Kabiru Mohammed from Kwara United. Well, this will tell you that the home base squad is in intense training as they aim to secure a strong outing at the regional tournament, which showcases talents from domestic leagues across Africa. Recall that Nigeria secured qualification for the 2025 Chan after edging out regional rivals Ghana, earning a return to the tournament following 3 consecutive absences. Well, let's tell you that to join into Group D, the Super Eagles will face formidable opponents including Congo, Senegal, and Sudan. Nigeria's opening match will be against Senegal on August 5th. Don't forget that the 2025 Chan tournament, jointly hosted by Tanzania, Kenya, and Morocco, will kick off on August 2nd, with host Tanzania will open the competition against Burkina Faso on August 3rd. Kenya will play Republic of Congo, while Morocco will face Angola, and Madagascar will take on Mauritania. Well, let's also move to other stories, still part of what's happening in Nigerian's team. The Flying Eagles have arrived Ghana to gear up for the WAFU Under-20 opener. Well, Nigerians Under-20 national team, the Flying Eagles, have arrived in Ghana ahead of the West African Football Union, that's WAFU, the Zone B Under-20 Championship, which is set to kick off on Thursday, July 10, 2025. Has this going on? Well, the team flew in from Africa World Airlines and touched down in Accra at 9:30 p.m. on Monday night following a 1-hour flight from Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The Flying Eagles are drawn in Group A alongside host nation Ghana and Benin Republic. Group B features Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, and Togo. Well, Aliou Zubairu's side will begin their campaign with a high-stakes encounter against Ghana on Thursday, July 10th, before facing Benin Republic 3 days later on Sunday, July 13th. Well, the top two teams from each group will advance to the semi-finals of the regional youth competition, which serves as a platform for scouting emerging talents in West African football. Well, that's what's going to happen ahead of that WAFU Games. That's to tell you what's going on. Well, more exciting news. We have 14 days to go for the arm wrestling. Over 400 athletes, officials are preparing for the African Arm Wrestling Championship in Abuja, and the official countdown is on with just 14 days until the biggest display of strength Africa has ever witnessed. From July 23rd to 27, 2025, Abuja will become the battleground for elite competitors during the 14th African Arm Wrestling Championship and the 7th Para Arm Wrestling Championship, as over 400 athletes and officials from across the continent converged in the city of Abuja. This to tell you that Nigeria is set to showing with excitement in the building, with 20 African countries confirming participation as they finalize travel documents, medical clearances, and logistics to arrive in Abuja in waves over the coming days. While still telling you what's happening here, we have the Niger Super 8 returning grassroots football in the spotlight. Well, the much anticipated Niger Super 8 tournament returns this month, bringing grassroots football to the big stage. Teams from all 6 geopolitical zones will battle for a whooping sum of 10 million naira prize and bragging rights, with the finals bid to hold in Lagos. The tournament has gained praise from unearthing local talents and giving unsigned players a chance to shine in front of national scouts. Organizers promise an even more electrifying edition with live matches to be aired across major platforms. Well, that's telling you the stories that are making headlines in the world of sport. But let's quickly introduce you to my guest, because I won't be doing this alone this morning. I have one amazing person who's been in the world of sports who will be telling us all of this topic. We're going to look at some of these issues, and he'll be giving us in-depth information. But let's quickly start with him. But let's meet my guest. My guest is Mr. Femi Adetola. He's the former PRO Nigerian Olympic Committee. Mr. Femi, you're welcome. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Nice to be here.
Thank you. It's good to have you. Well, let's quickly dive into this, because I wanted to give us in-depth information on what's happening with the Abuja Arm Wrestling Championship, which is about to happen here in Abuja.
Thank you very much. Talking about the arm wrestling championship coming to Abuja, we're counting the days, because it's going to be a very big one. If you are in Accra for the African Games last year, you see that Nigeria won 13 medals in that competition. So what we're doing now in Abuja this time around is we're bringing athletes from over 20 countries into town, and over 400 people visiting town for the championship. And the preparation is in top gear, because the Sports Commission and the LOC chairman, they'll be working right around everywhere, and the president of the federation, so that we can host a very good competition in Abuja. So we are getting ready for the championship.
Okay, this is arm wrestling. I'm going to be women in sports right now. Are you looking at women participating in this arm wrestling as well, or is just the male folks? Let's have an overview of that.
No, it's going to be men and women, because if the women version is so fascinating, because if you look at it, they have the left and the right, and there are medals. They win their medals differently. You understand? So the women have their own category, the men they have their own category, and they have even the 7th para championship coming up in Abuja. So it's a mixed thing. You have the men, you have the women. So a day for the right, a day for the left. And when they start in the morning, they play the game to the evening to do their presentation. So we're going to enjoy what will happen in Abuja for this period of time.
Okay, looking at it, we have 400 athletes coming out for this game. So how was the pool drawn? From what angle? How was it drawn to have the 400 athletes who are going to participate in this?
Well, the categories they have in arm wrestling is massive. They have over 200 categories. But looking at this championship, they are considering about 90 to 100 because they can't bring everybody into town. The first list Nigeria released for athletes to be called into camp were 172, but we have to trim down to 120. Countries like Ghana is coming in with over 80 athletes. Cameroon is coming in with over 50 athletes. Like Gabon, South Africa, Egypt, Burkina Faso, Mauritius, Madagascar, Eswatini, interestingly, is coming to town. So what they do is, like in Nigeria, there was a championship, to pick the athletes in Ibadan.
Okay.
You understand, some weeks back. Then there are some during the festival in Abeokuta. They picked some talents from there as well. So this is where they got the pool of athletes coming into town from. So this is what we are looking at, and we expect Nigeria, to do well. No, I'm not saying we're going to host. I'm not saying we're not going to host to win, but we win.
Okay, always that's an exciting one where you have a host country having to win. It's always just like we had in other competitions. But what's exciting right now for me is the fact that the para arm wrestling is also part of an inclusive sporting activity, because that's one place we shouldn't leave behind. And I see that it's part of what you're doing. So tell me how the inclusivity is playing out for the arm wrestling.
Well, the para one you're asking about is just them, the special athletes, sitting on their wheelchair,
okay,
and with the table in front of them, because we have a table that has a riser where you can raise up the athletes so they can rest on the table, because it's a thing of the wrist. You have to hold the wrist. It's only I can't do that to you here now. You understand? I will have tried to show what it means.
So strength. That's what it's saying.
Strength. Yes,
okay.
It's strength. You
okay,
understand?
so all right. So after this, because one thing is having a tournament or having a game going on, but it's the sustainability of this going forward. What's the strategy to sustain this kind of game going forward?
Well, arm wrestling has been in Nigeria for about 10 years. They have hosted competition in Lagos before now, two African championships in Lagos. They have gone for one championship. And after this championship in Abuja, there is another world championship in Bulgaria. And we are expecting that some of the athletes from here, will go to Bulgaria. And from Bulgaria, we'll be preparing for the, the African Games coming up in Egypt, because it is going to be very big in Egypt. Arm wrestling is developing rapidly across Africa. Okay. So, and they want to make a name by it, because they want it to be an Olympic sport. You understand? The para is already an Olympic sport, so they want the the physical one to be an Olympic sport. So after here, it's going to be a lot of work across Africa, going into the world and be at the Olympics. That is the target. All
right. So let's look at the side of the National Sports Commission. What has been I know the mandate given stem from the presidency is to see how sports can be developed and looked in different perspective, with the bottlenecks removed from being a ministry to the national sport. How have they contributed their own quota in the Federation of Arm Wrestling?
Well, you have to give it to them, because going to African Games last time, they took the Arm Wrestling Federation to African Games in Ghana, where they won 13 medals. And then we have to give it to the chairman of the local organizing committee, okay, who is an SSA to the president of grassroots sport development. His name is Anthony Adeboye Adeyinka, the chairman of the LOC. Then to the chairman of the NSC, Palamshe Odiko, and the DG, they have tried to see what they can do to support Nigeria hosting Africa, because this is what they are preaching, to bring new things into what they are doing. They have a ring, they call it rings. Is it rings? You understand? Mm-hmm. So it's a focus of what they are doing, and they really want to build on it. Bring all these sports. They told us that bring this event to Nigeria. Let Nigeria host this event so that we can build on our infrastructures, and that is how it should be. It's not Nigeria traveling out there
all the time.
Bring events to Nigeria so that we can build on our infrastructures.
Okay, beautiful. Let's move our conversation right now. That's quite an exciting preparation going on for the Arm Wrestling Federation. But let's take the conversation away from arm wrestling and look at the build-up for the African Under-18 and Under-20 Championship. Yes, it's also part of the African games. So I'm looking at Africa, Nigeria, across other African continents, looking at how they're partnering, because we have the youths coming up. So that's why it's called the under 18 and under 20. What's your own idea, or what's your observation in terms of their preparedness ahead of this game happening at Abeokuta?
No, they are well prepared. I don't know if you are in Delta State in 2018. We're there in 2018 for this same championship, and thereafter in Asaba. That was the first one was in Warri, the second one was in Asaba.
Okay.
Now coming to Abeokuta, it's going to be a big one, because this is where we source our talents from, the under age.
Sure.
And
That's
look at the preparation towards this. Sponsor here and there, came in to partner with them. Then the government of Ogun State is there for them as well, because if you look at what happened at the National Sports Festival, and then going back to Ogun State with the infrastructure they have on ground, you know that they are really ready for this, and the athletes are, counting this, to stop Nigeria for the CAA.
So are you saying in little terms that the IJA, the invited junior athletes, whole idea to games is actually paying off? That's what you're saying?
It's paying off. It's paying off. If you look at it, during the games in Ogun State, in fact, there was somebody that promised to give a scholarship of certain amount to one of the IJA, we call them IJA. Yes, the youth athletes.
Yes.
The overall, he promised a certain amount of scholarship from now to the university days, even to after university.
Sure.
You understand? So the games are already there. So we just have to latch on it, build on it, and make it to blossom.
I like the fact that you mentioned the word build on it, because that's one thing. Is one thing to discover talents, and that thing to maintain. And I know we're in the National Sports Festival in Abeokuta, myself and you, and I remember where the DG National Sports Commission was talking about discovering talent and the body put together to discover these young talents, to ensure that the talents are grown, have home base. But we still had the fact that some athletes who are not home base still came out from outside the country to join. So what's your perspective on that, basically?
Well, I think what you're trying to say is the label is we are all Nigerians.
Exactly.
So either in or out of the country, if you are good enough to be in the national team, to represent your country,
okay,
come together, let's build the national team. Let's do something for Nigeria. Because with little time, the Amuson, the Esebrume, and what have you,
we'll fade off the time will go.
You understand? Okay. So we need to have the young ones now, to nurture them, to start them, and this is the opportunity to do that.
Okay, let's leave it to that, so we don't say. Okay, let's look at the Chan Games. What's your thought, basically? Because I'm trying to just have us talk about this whole thing, because we're looking at Africa and all that. What's your mindset with the additional 5?
That is a good thing that we have to, thank CAF for, because you look at the home-based Eagles, they struggle to, find their way into the national team, the Super Eagles. Sure. Because you look at the Super Eagles, you're having 23 professional players in camp. What happened to our league?
Sure.
Our league is not bad. I'm an advocate of the league. I covered the league for as a manager in one of the television stations in Nigeria for 11 years. Travel day in and out, to cover the league. So we should try and encourage these local players. They are good as well. Keshi may so rest in peace. He took them to the Nations Cup. Sunday Oba was there. We knew what he did for Nigeria. Okay. You understand? So calling them into camp is a very good one. Giving them a foreign coach is a good one. With the other guys working, Ogmodede and the Rangers coach, Aile, it's going to be something, an experience that they will live to remember, because this is a nucleus of who should be our next generation of players in the Super Eagles. Okay, so
let's look at the number of the names that were picked from the media team. We have the likes of Musa Zayad from El Kanemi Warriors. What do you see? Aminu Adam and Anas Yusuf from Nassau United. You also have Rivers. Let's look at their position in our MPFL.
Well, if you look at these names, Anas, if I'm not wrong, Anas is the highest goal scorer for last season.
Sure.
Godwin Obaje has been in the league for a while. Obaje has played for Abia Warriors. He played for Ifeanyi Oba. He played for Rangers. Now he has gone to Rivers United. So he's already becoming a veteran in the league. An express striker, very experienced. Good. So these names that the 5 inclusion is something that we really ginger them to, because when you have experienced hand around you, and some players are looking up to you, You understand? So it means these guys are mentors. They come in to say, okay, let's do it together. So even the pep talk alone, even looking at them in camp, I was thinking they would call Ahmed Musa into that camp, not for him to play, but just to come in and say, oh boy, let's go. Because when you see all these players around you, there's something that it gives you as an upcoming player. So it's good having them in camp.
So it's good having. I think Ahmed Musa might not be able to make up to that because he's just been given the manager for the Kano Pillars. So obviously he might not have the time to come in. So I'm looking at the fact that Nigeria, the Super Eagles going for this was going to change the whole narrative, because let's look at our tactics. With these guys coming in to play for Chan, what's our chances in terms of the games in our group stage?
Well, we do struggle at Chan. If not for Keshi that won bronze for us, we do struggle, and it shows that the African League is improving every day. Okay. Because if you go to Chan is a combination of all the African players playing at home, coming together to show their mettle. So this time around, I expect these guys, because they have a new coach, the Malian coach, what's his name, Chile. Coming to town now, and Ogmodede and Ileshoku. So I think they should try and build on where we stopped the last time, because the last time we didn't do well. So by now we should be looking at maybe winning it or coming second. But if we win, that will be good for us as a country. All right.
That's been Mr. Femi Adetula talking to us on some of these issues happening in our sporting field, looking at from the preparation for the African Athletics Games, and also moving on to the arm wrestling happening here in Abuja. And you've heard him tell us in-depth of preparation and what's going forward. We've also looked at Chan, but we'll have other stories lined up. But let's quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll still have Mr. Femi with us in the studio to give us more updates on the training stories, and we'll also have highlights also to play for you from what happened in the club football. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Talk Sports on Global Television, and I'm still here, and I still have my guest with me, Femi Adetola, who's the former PRO from the Nigerian Olympics Committee, who's been giving us in-depth information on Nigerians' preparations ahead of the African Junior Athletics Championship, and also the Arm Wrestling Federation, and also other trending stories in the world of sports. Well, Femi, let's look at the issue of the bid. Well, part of the stories I mentioned earlier on the National Youth Games, where I said Lagos has placed its bid for the 2026 National Youth Games. What's your idea with Lagos? Do you think Lagos is ready to host this time around?
Well, I've lived in Lagos for over 20 years, and all my years in Lagos I've done sports. And 2012, when Lagos hosted National Sports Festival, I was fully part of it. So when Lagos wants to host any event, they are always very prepared and ready. But my worry at this time is I look at the facilities in Lagos, because Lagos used to be the hub of sports. But look at the facilities in Lagos. Look at Teslim, look at Onikon, look at Ayege Stadium. Okay. You understand? When you look at this stadium, which one do they want to use? Or they want to go to Yabatek? Or they want to go to Unilag? Okay. Fine, Lagos can host. There are facilities in Lagos, in the schools. But where are the facilities of Lagos State itself? The Onikon Stadium has not been completed. Teslim Balogun is there, not completed. Which other one? Ayege Stadium is also there. But we have Yabatek, we have Nassau playing ground, we have Unilag playing ground. Maybe that's what they want to do, because they say it's youth games. Maybe they want to take it to the schools so that
the schools can give us the
the youths can feel it, because it's for the youths.
Okay.
And when you take youth from home to a university community, it will send a message to their senses that, oh, people here are not special. So if you're not yet in the university, that might ginger you to want to go to the university. But when you talk about infrastructures, I have a doubt about Lagos, but Lagos will always be a good host.
So when you say you have the doubt, let's look at it. Don't forget that this whole idea is for youth participation and grassroots sports development. I remember when the chairman of the NSC came to talk about the issues and preparations when they came for the budget defense, to talk about the budget for the National Sports Commission and how they were putting in together provisions for grassroots development, grassroots sport development. You've mentioned the infrastructure being a challenge for you, but the schools, just like you mentioned, I think the target basically is for schools. What's it?
Yes. Well, I will buy into that idea to have it around the schools, because in data solely. Yes, in Delta, they take to school as well. Okay. So if Lagos say, okay, we are bidding for this host, we are bidding to host, we are taking to schools, it will be perfect, it will be beautiful. You understand? But for them to say we want to take to our stadium, no, because there's no there. I have not seen any stadium in Lagos. Apologies to them in Lagos, but I've not seen any infrastructure.
But the governor is saying he's ready. That's why he's bidding for this. So when you say
they might work wonders.
Exactly.
Because see, something happened then in Lagos when we went to host 2019, when we hold under 17.
Okay.
Overnight, the facilities in Lagos were ready. So with this one, I think this will push them, to put these infrastructures in place in Lagos. Did you
see the build up to the National Sports Festival? How things were put in place ahead of this? I just feel Lagos State is also trying to bring in the same thing.
I'm not a fan of this renegade approach, because if you want to do it, you do it well. Why do you have to rush when you can take your time to have the facilities on ground? If you go to Ogun State, from Abeokuta to Ilaro to Shagamu to Remo, they have stadiums there. It was put in place during when the DG was the Commissioner of Sports there, and Daniel was governor. So this can happen in Lagos. We can have several places in Lagos where they can play sports, and you make it so beautiful for the kids, so to do their business. When you have these places, it stops crime as well, because they will be there to watch or to play sports. So there will be time for them to do something else.
Okay, if you say so, but let's hope that the bid, because one thing I also encourage is the business of sports. Aside having the athletes, aside discovering the talent, what happens to the states? That's an additional value to them in terms of generation of revenues and all that. So every state, just like it happened in Abeokuta for the National Sports Festival, you saw the massive outpour of the business angle of sports, which is also giving an edge to home-based people in the states. So this bidding rights, for me, I think is a welcome development, whether the infrastructure, but the fact that this infrastructure we put in place ahead of time is a plus.
No, it's a good one, because there's no how a state will host any competition, major competition, that the impact will not be felt in the state financially. Because from tourism to hospitality, even to the woman selling sachet water, the one they call pure water, she will sell.
Exactly.
You understand? So all the vendors will come on board, and you will see the impact of the financial gain in the system. So Lagos is always a good host when they want to host.
Okay, let's leave Lagos and just move away from that. We've actually agreed that Lagos can still handle this. Okay, so
they will. They will.
All right, great one. So let's look at the Flying Eagles who've arrived Ghana ahead of the WAFU under-20 opener. What do you think the Flying Eagles already? They've been doing their best in their own game, but let's see this time around ahead of what they are going to play. Just have a few days. They're going to have their first match come up on August 5th, right? If I'm not mistaken, no, July 10th. July 10th. Yes, that's when it's going to be kicking off.
It's a good one that they are putting this. It's just a tune-up game for teams that qualify for the World Cup, because the team is heading to the World Cup, and WAFU has put this together and some other countries to say, okay, let's prepare our teams, for the under-20 World Cup, because Nigeria came second twice. I think Ghana won it once, and since then, no good representation. So what they're trying to do is to say, okay, let's put these guys together. Let's prepare them well, to meet with their peers outside there and win, because you play to the finals, you can't win. Wow, why?
I think that's what.
So what they're trying to do is say, okay, let's prepare them with tune-up games, as WAFU. Okay. Before we push them to the World Cup. And it's a welcome development, because this is the first time this is happening. They have qualified already for the World Cup. Yes. But this is a tune-up game for the players. And I watched them last week at the Go Projects. And I think what Zuberi is doing is actually good for people. Yes.
All right, exciting one coming from the WAFU preparations, and we wish them all the best. That's hopefully by tomorrow, when they're kicking off the games, we'll have some exciting news coming from the WAFU games.
Remember, they're playing Ghana.
Ghana is always our good friend. Nigeria's good friend. Playing Well, let's look at the Niger Super 8 tournament, which is returning this month. We've talked about grassroots developments, building up people, but let's look at grassroots football coming back to the big stage. What's going to happen at the Niger Super 8? We have a sum going up for the 6 geopolitical zones. We have about 10 million naira prize, bragging rights, which will be set for the finals to hold in Lagos as well. So what's your own mindset through grassroots developments for?
Well, I'm an advocate of grassroots sport development, because I so much enjoy when you bring the youth together. In Lagos, then there's something we call let the 5,000 flowers blossom. Yes, the commissioner in Lagos then put them together, and we went into every corners in Lagos, to bring out these athletes, both young, both male and female, to play sports. But this one is football, and for them at the grassroots, I hope they are youth. I hope they are youth, because when you say youth at time, we should try and put age limits.
I was asking, what age are we looking at?
We should put age limit when they say youth, because when you say youth, we are looking at somebody about 40 years. It's still playing youth.
But young at heart.
Young at heart, but how do you develop? How do you give chance?
I'm just
I understand. How do you give a chance to that young boy on the street that wants to play football?
Who has passion for it?
Passion for it. So we have to encourage the young ones, and I believe this is what this
local talent as well.
Yeah, this is doing. And look at what they've attached. They have attached 10 million grand to what they are doing. So 10 million is a good one.
Don't forget, the national scouters will also be there to scout for this young talent.
So from there, they can become Osime and become what have you,
exactly. And we have young talent discovered from the streets, and then have them doing wonders across the globe. Well, we look forward to this coming out fine, because like we said, it's coming to the spotlight soon. This grassroots football coming in the spotlight. Well, that's the much we can say right now, because actually I want us to just quickly take some highlights that played out for the FIFA Club World Cup that played out yesterday. We had Chelsea and Fleming's play their game. We're going to be quickly taking the highlights. Well, we have from rising stars in track and field to homegrown football talents making waves. African sporting future looks bright. Let's give you some highlights from yesterday's FIFA Club World Cup between Chelsea and Flemings, and we'll be right back.